Let's continue with the topic of connections between Judaism and Christian Zionism. I made a video specifically for the link to help us understand what's the situation today. In doing that, I have to, it's inevitable whenever you talk about anything religious, you have to go back to the history, sometimes 1,000 years ago. So here, I think that to understand this, you have to understand supersessionism. Um, that basically it's a one word to say that something has been superseded or replaced, okay, by something else. So that has been around for 1,500 years. It's for the long time for among the Christian scholars and churches, the dominant thinking has been supersessionism. Okay, basically the idea is simple. Especially the punitive supersessionism, they basically think that the churches of Jesus Christ, basically the New Testament, right, will supersede the Israel. Okay, and for punitive, they have a different version. The one is like a punitive supersessionism, another is economic supersessionism, another is structural. Let's focus on the first one. The first one is the harshest. They basically says that because Judaism does not honor Jesus Christ as the Messiah. So God basically changed his plan to replace Israel with the Church of Jesus Christ. So that's one of the dominant view. Okay, so but then two things happened, both after World War II. I'm kind of interested in. I think in order to understand the beliefs, the churches, the religions, you have to understand both theology, which is a study of the churches and beliefs and the faiths, and the psychology. And because a lot of the churches and human beliefs, they are part of fundamentally human. Okay, so in order to understand the human, their belief, their faith, their religion, you have to understand some psychology. So that's kind of a approach that I'm interested in. So if you ask my opinion, nobody asked me, but I was just saying that in order to, otherwise, why would I make a video, right? My idea is that you have to understand the social psychology after World War II. What happened in World War II? First, we have a Holocaust, and then we have 1948, the establishment of modern Israel as a country, sovereign country, right? And by the way, some people criticize me, no knowledge of history, and then when I said that Israel has a right to exist. We'll talk about that later. But for now, let's focus on the supersessionism and the counter trend. Now we don't have a perfect name for that. Let's just call it post-supersessionism. Okay. But anyway, so the two things happened after World War II. Number one is the 1965 Roman Catholic Church basically made a document, made an announcement that basically says that we should not blame Jewish people collectively for the death of Jesus Christ. We know in the New Testament, numerous descriptions in the New Testament. We know that some Jewish people betrayed Jesus Christ. Okay, we're not just talking about the Judah, but also talk about the the Jewish religious leader. They feel threatened by Jesus Christ, so they actually already in their hearing they already declare that Jesus Christ need to be killed, except that they don't have the power to actually execute it. So they have to, report Jesus Christ to the to the authority, and then who then eventually crucified Jesus Christ. So that's one thing that the Roman Catholic, that's one of the milestone. Another milestone happens in America, and more actually in Jerusalem. I think it's called the International Christian uh, References in Jerusalem or something like that. But it happened in 1980. That's another way to, formally denounce the supersessionism. So basically, previously we were saying, according to supersessionism, basically that the Israel will be replaced by Church of Jesus Christ, but not anymore. Now these people are saying that the old, basically we're going back to covenantism. Basically means that the church, the contract, the covenant, basically is a contract between the God and Abraham should still be honored. In other words, I keep thinking about the two terms in insurance. It's one is called uh, revocable trust, right? Another is a non-revocable trust. So non-revocable means that once you have the trust established, you can't change it. You basically you say you will give after your death, you'll give all the properties and the asset to the next generation. That's not irrevocable. You can't change your mind, right? So these people, they post-supersessionism basically are saying that the God covenant between God and Abraham, between all the Israelis, it's non-revocable. You cannot revoke it. So that's why. So what about the Jesus Christ? What about the churches? They're saying that the churches now support Israel, support the Jewish people. Okay, so those are kind of the that's it. Those are the milestone changes. But why do I say that it has something to do with the human psychology, social psychology? I think that because after World War II, you know, people recognize that Jewish people are suffering, one of the biggest victims, right? And then for many, many years, many centuries, the Jewish people, they never had its own sovereign country. Okay, so of course some people may say that according to the Old Testament, that the Old Testament, when I first read it, I was thinking, wow, Jesus, there must be some because the Old Testament is written by Jewish scholars. And then I was thinking, okay, maybe these people, they're just kind of doing the marketing to promote the Israel, to promote the Jewish people. But then if you read deeper, you find out it's not actually just the marketing, right? Because throughout even on the Hebrew Bible, which is the Old Testament rearranged, right? And then you see that God has always, they're not just so. If you don't understand it deeply, you may say, well, Old Testament basically just say two things. Number one, Jewish people are the chosen people. Number two, Israel is the promised land. So that's oversimplified because if you read it carefully, you'll see that throughout the Old Testament, the God has been critical. Many low moral values of the Jewish people. Okay, and then that covenant, it comes, it's a conditional, not unconditional. So while on the one hand you see that the Genesis 12:3, you see that God says that I will support you, I will honor you, and I will bless you. And not only that, the two most important thing that has a fundamental influence impact over the history is that God says that whoever bless you, I'll bless him. Whoever curse you, I will curse him. So that's why it set up the motivation to make so many Christian Zionism so determined to say that now the Church of Jesus Christ is not replacing Israel, but becoming the friend, becoming the partnership. So we have to supporting Israel. Supporting Israel becomes the mission, becomes the biblical call. It's a divine, something sacred. You can't skip away from. Let's stop here.